Good morning, Facebook land. Yep, I got up later this time. Let me see if this works. Okay. All right, cool. It worked. They fixed the glitch. Thank you, Facebook. Thank you, Android. Thank you, everybody. All right, they fixed the glitch. So I figured when I did the update on the Facebook app, it fixed the glitch. So, all right. So now, I understand why the immunization. Yeah, okay. It's about protection, right? Okay, I get it. It's about protection. Yeah, they don't want you to cough. I figured out. When you're not, like, the different therapeutics, all the different therapeutics, they do the shortcuts. The long cut, right, is that you get exposed to someone who has a unique information, and then you take that information in, you cough out, you take in some information, you cough it out, and then your body then goes through an upgrade. But then you're also exercising your diaphragm. So when you get exposed to something really aggressive, then you have the muscles to cough it out. But that's not what happens. What happens is people don't have the muscles to cough out stuff because they keep getting therapized, and they're also getting the medicines to suppress their cough, to atrophy their sphincter. And so everything is now building up pressure within their gut. But then that also gives biotech the justification to go and do genetic engineering and take samples of your spit, your blood, and whatever, and figure out what's going on, and then commandeer your immune system. And so they don't think like, oh, that's right, because when they want you to wear a mask so you're not spraying out your mucus semen on someone so they can go inseminate, right? So you get that concept. They want you to get all V'd because that way you're not coughing out somebody else's exposure, because your body is now taking on that information intravenously. And okay, but people do still have reactions. So is that really then moot? Is it really working according to the critics? And no, it's not. That's the thing, is that you can't stop a body's defense system. You can't stop a mechanism that is there for a reason. Because we always had cold and flu season. They never said everyone had to get a flu V, but it wasn't that aggressive. It was aggressive back in 1918, but from 1918 all the way up to now, even through 7.9 billion people and climbing, even from back then, it was something that we were used to. We had the rate of cancer disease and chronic illness, and we had all of the expectation. So it was like, it was a paradigm that we were used to, and so it wasn't really anything. We just knew we'd get a cold or a flu maybe once a year around the Christmas time. It was always, for me, I would get a cold whenever I hang out with my nieces and nephews. And oh, there's my dog. And so, Sugar, come on, Sugar, come on, let's go outside. I would get a cold around my nieces and nephews, and then I would be over it. All right, go ahead, Sugar. Come on. We both slept in. Go ahead, Sugar. Go ahead, go potty. Go ahead. I hope she didn't potty upstairs, but go ahead. Go, Sugar. Oh, she probably pottied upstairs because we both been fighting something. Oh, Lordy. I didn't hear her. But anyways, Sugar, you have food in your dish. I'm just going to see if she did. Just give me 1 second. Sorry. Having my life around my dog is quite interesting. Oh, no, she didn't. I don't see any pee here. Nope. No pee here. There's no pee in the bed. No pee in the bed. Well, what the hell? Okay, well, what the heck, Sugar? Don't you have to pee? I know she got up last night in the middle of the night and peed, but okay, well, I'm not going to be upset. Okay, well, I don't know. Whatever. Okay, sorry, I had to just check that out. Let me finish this. Okay. All right. Let's drink some. I was coughing this morning. And wow. All right. So, yeah, they say when you get a V that it's supposed to protect not only you, but other people and all that stuff. But that's not really the reality, because what happens is people's lines of defense are atrophied. They're too afraid to cough, or if they do cough, they take in the medication, the cough suppressants, or they take in, like Amodia, anti-diarrheal, so their body isn't expelling that way. And so people are blowing up. They're building so much pressure in their body. Not only are they gaining weight, but they're holding so much mucus that it then goes and camps out and turns into first a mucus ball, then it turns into like a soft, fatty tumor. And that's what you guys are seeing when you're doing the waterfalls. That's what you probably saw when you guys are seeing like weird things like 2 eyes and teratomas. When you guys are doing the waterfalls on the J juice, you are releasing the evil spirits in your body, because people said they see some weird shit in their poop when they were releasing with the J juice. They saw teratoma type stuff. Now we probably have a name for it. Teratoma, which is the eyes, the teeth and the hair and bone. But I mean, it's probably at the most prototypical stage, or the most basic stage, which is basically a tumor ball. That eventually, if you allow it to grow even more and more and more, it would be probably some kind of cancer. And I'm sure if you ask surgeons out there that probably don't say too much when they're removing cancer from people's bodies, that there's some stuff in those cancers that are like, holy crap, like the evil spirits, like I'm saying, the parasitic twins they're being cut off or cut out of people. Because that's what happens when we are around people and we're taking on the therapies, using antibiotics. When you're using antibiotics or using therapies, you're developing another unique identifier, another viral baby that a person is going to take in and, yes, develop cancer potentially if their immune system has been atrophied, or their lines of defense or their alimentary canal has been atrophied. Or they'll have a baby. They'll be fertile. Or if not that, then yeah, then they will create cancer or disease or chronic illness. But if someone's like on the Jilly Juice and they're taking in other people's information like I am, I'm coughing it out. My dog was sneezing so hard yesterday. It's windy outside right now. You know, I emptied my bowels this morning. Okay, so this side here is open. This side of the alimentary canal is open. My back side is very much on point, and it's open because I've exercised all the different muscles so I can release, so it doesn't incubate and turn into a separate being or into cancer, disease, chronic illness. And I'm lengthening my telomeres, which means that I am prolonging my life. I am not going to be subject to the lifespan that those who have a closed system, which is all physics, is subject to. So when you cough and sneeze, you are releasing copies of yourself that will go and try to take over somebody else. And that's so different when a huge person or a small person or anyone that is very influential, and they could be a short person, and they could be a very tall person or a medium-sized person, but if they're at a deficit and they have a huge personality, they will go and try to run the room. And that's where you get your leaders, that's where you get your followers, that's where you get all the different archetypes in the Jungian psychology, and everyone has a place, okay, and there's actually names for it, such as, advocate, mediator, architect, thinker, persuader, director. I mean, you can think of all the different actors and actresses playing parts in Hollywood, politics, religion, and science. So for you to understand this, you have to acknowledge the viruses you are exposed to are actually intelligent, extremely intelligent, because you are. How you use your intelligence and if you actually realize your potential is a completely different thing. But all these viruses are extremely intelligent. So whatever you spit out, whatever my dog spits out, it's intelligent. And so And so she gets smarter as she keeps dealing with these damn viruses. Oh yeah, it's a little energetic and some people are scared of the symptoms, but it's necessary. And you keep feeding. You don't starve or atrophy your animal's ability to release, because then they are stuck with these things inside of them called mucus. Because remember, mucus is good. Mucus is your protective layer. It's your B cells and T cells. And mucus is also can develop another entity if it's allowed to agglutinate. Like I said the other day, there's 5 types of agglutination, and it's all about multivalent bonding. Different viral personalities coming together, assimilating, and they are like a community. They all have different jobs, different purposes, and they all figure out how to work together. And sometimes one entity wants to overtake another, and that's where the war starts. And so that's why the salt water is the regulator. You don't have salt water or salt in your diet, then you're going to have the freaking Garden of Eden in the Amazon rainforest in your body. And you know how aggressive the Amazon rainforest is to someone who lived in the desert, or who lives in a Western society going into the Amazon, and they have no type of immunizations, no type of modern medicine, and they're getting eaten alive by the microbes and by all the different insects. I would not want to be in the Amazon rainforest. I would have so much salt around me. That's what's missing in these reality shows like Naked and Afraid and the extreme, being alone and stuff, and they're trying to survive by themselves. They have everything. They have their tools, and they have their ability to understand the different plants and the food and the shelter and the building, but they didn't have the salt. That's what's missing in these reality shows. So people are dealing with the bug bites and all this other stuff, and they have other issues going on, and they don't have the salt. And so the salt is, I'm telling you, salt is so necessary. So do not underestimate the power of a virus. And do not underestimate your own power, because you are powerful. You just weren't given the proper tools for whatever reason, or you weren't taught how to use proper tools. And that is your finger. Once you figure out that you're going to have to release your colon, and it's going to take some time, because you're going to have to release with the J juice and cough out stuff and bring up all the mucus, and it's going to be out your ass. You're going to see probably teratomas and tumors and so many things that you've been housed in your body, that finally when you do bring in the salt and the water or doing the J juice and eating food, you're going to see some crazy ass creatures in your toilet. Again, the different teratomas, the little tumors with eyes. So antibodies are like a bouncers at the door in the club. So when you think about it, when you're around somebody, okay, and they spit out their mucus, that's a little viral spirit. And that's different than the dead spirits that are little orbs that go jump around, and you've seen them through EMF or through different sensitive photography. And so there's live spirits that you're releasing from your mucus, and then there's dead spirits that when someone dies, their spirit, their energy is floating around in a freaking ball looking for something to inhabit if it can. And that's where all the ghost shows and stuff like that, okay? So when you think about when someone is releasing their mucus onto you, and now it's commandeering your body, it's inserting itself, it's replicating. And if it's something that's aggressive against the body, let's say they have programming in there that's negating your food supply or trying to attack. Maybe they're under a therapy and they're trying to attack one of your organs. Okay, so now it's building its own army trying to proliferate and live, and then your body is developing defenses against that. And so now you have a war, and then your immune system is like antibodies, like bouncers, like you have a doorman that's letting in stuff, and it's also trying to block stuff. And when it's trying to block stuff, it builds its own army to block that invading force that's trying to go and attack like your liver or attack your heart. And that's the same thing as with these spirits that are just floating around. Okay, and you don't know which one is which. You can't differentiate. When you're breathing the air, you can't figure out if this is a good thing or if it's a bad thing. If this spirit is going to help you process and take in the nutritional elements, or is it going to attack your liver based upon the therapies and oncology out there? You won't know the difference. Only thing you'll see is the mucus. And so you have to be able to blow out mucus, anything excess, and also take in information, and also pee and poo and release the maximum level. Because I'm telling you, when I did the J juice the first time in the beginning, I released a lot of pee. I released a lot of water weight. I was very bloated back in 2016. Okay? And so, Antibodies are like bouncers. They're at the door in the club. They let some come in when people leave, so not to exceed the capacity, and they regulate who comes in and who comes out. So T cell regulation, which some T cells are T cell memories that they don't actually go through apoptosis. But there's some T cells that allow the information to proliferate and allow things to come in, like a bouncer, allowing you to come in and upgrade the club and make the club look great because you're pretty. And then there's T cells that will go and destroy things and build memories to then block the information from coming in because it's too aggressive. Okay, and that's what the T cells are there for, and that's what the B cells are, the B cell memories. That's what people are looping in. That's what's being trapped inside people's bodies. But if you're blood type A and blood type B, then you have the T cell biomarker antigen. Antigen is just programming. It's programming to either have kinetic energy up here or other places. And those who are blood type A and B have a lot more kinetic energy up here, which means that they have, they're smart, yes. They're aggressively smart. And those are the thinkers in our society. Those are the ones that are in the sciences, very, very left brain. But then also they're subject to cancer up here, subject to neurological diseases, and then, yes, potentially even cancer up here, because then it's growing in another head. There's so much intelligence, so much kinetic energy and mucus. And then you see then what could happen when mucus and your body's so atrophied, as far as like the mucus coming out, your lines of defense so atrophied that when it's left unchecked, it will develop its own entity. And that's why people get cancer in different parts of the body, because there's a lot of kinetic energy. They're not releasing because they have so much mucus in their body. They don't release it. They're too afraid to. They think they're told by their friends and family, cover your mouth, which of course, yes, but they don't want to cough in public. They don't want to poop or pee because it's going to get in the way of whatever. If they get exposed to something, they want their body to just stop releasing. They freeze their prostaglandins, when you think about it, taking anti-inflammatories, antibiotics, antimicrobials, virals, fungals, antiparasitics, whatever. And they're taking all these different things, and they're taking things that will suppress their body's ability to purge stuff out. Let me tell you, when I'm pooping, it feels like I'm giving birth to a freaking baby sometimes, because the waves of the release, where the muscles are purging stuff out because it wants to release, it doesn't want to keep it in there. I could see what it's like to bear a baby. Not that I'm gonna ever bear a baby, but all the muscles are down there, and they all work together on some level. Okay, so when it comes to antibodies, if you're not releasing the excess, they camp out in your body, and this is where the disease comes from, as well as the cancers. That's why cancer is going to be doubling, tripling as the population ages out, because when you're at a deficit, guess what the heavy positive is? Those things that are waiting, they're waiting. They're like the understudies. All those little microbes that you've been taking on, you're not releasing, whether it's through the therapies or from your exposure to your friends and family. They're like your understudies, and they can't wait till you finally start breaking down, and then they're going to start bringing themselves up and want to be the star of the show, if you understand the acting world. Okay? And so when you get all the therapies, now you have a war inside, and you're not releasing at the level that you should, and then that war cannibalizes you, because that energy is happening and both sides was used up all your resources until there's nothing left. And that's what goes on. That's what I'm saying. When you're not coughing stuff out, you're taking a therapy intravenously, you're bypassing your first lines of defense. And then of course you're taking Imodium and taking anti-diarrheals, so you're suppressing your release process in your colon. And so then people are gaining massive amounts of fucking weight right now in this crazy environment. Or they have so many of those little things inside of them at war with each other, eating them out, using up your resources. Because when you trap the Democrats and Republicans inside of a sealed off house, and there's only so much food in that house, first they're going to eat food to strengthen and fight each other. Then they're using up all the resources. Then they start cannibalizing each other. And then they realize, well, we can't really, either we destroy ourselves in this building with only this much amount of food and only ourselves, we find a way to work together and start figuring out how we're going to, strategize our way out of this and start finding resources to bring in the food. And so that's what happens when people pass away, is that the war inside has gotten so exponentially aggressive that it cannibalized them, or the entity became too big that you didn't know how to release the stuff to work symbiotically with the entity that's in your body. And so the entity became too big for its britches, and then it destroyed itself. Or it destroyed you, and it then released itself and trying to find another host to go and inhabit. And that's what goes on in the dead world, looking for a host to inhabit. And this is where you get all the ghost shows from. And also in the alive world, where people are at deficits, they're releasing their mucus. That mucus is now commandeering you. You have to reconcile with it. And if you don't, it'll cannibalize you. And that's why I said about man semination, person semination, women semination, group semination. When you're hanging out with a bunch of groups of people and you guys are not masked and you're also releasing, your mocals, then you are inseminating each other. And we've been doing this for many years. We didn't know that was the reasoning behind cancer disease and chronic illness, is that people are inseminating each other, but they're not leveling up. It's one thing to inseminate each other and you're all coughing and having sickness and whatever, which is okay, but you have to feed that sickness. And then once you all are done and all that disease stuff is in the toilet, in the sewage system, then there shouldn't be any more of the upset of homeostasis. But no, we have so many therapies and people taking their antibiotics that it causes then the mechanism to cough, and that produces another viral baby. So that's why you have then all the different food allergies and elemental allergies, and even the family of viruses. When you're trying to eradicate one virus with using aggressive protein mercenaries, like maybe you're using some mercury with or thimerosal, or some other negative element with an egg protein because it has to be the host. Then you put a splice and dice protein of a DNA of a spike protein of some kind of viral entity that you're trying to create defenses against. And then that, may eradicate one genetic line, but then it develops another genetic line, because guess what? The person coughs out that entity because the body builds a defense against that. And so then you have then not only, one type of pox, now you have, 2 pox, 3 pox, 4 pox, or cow pox, horse pox, smallpox, monkey pox, whatever. And then all the different phenotypes and genotype viruses, a family of viruses, okay? And so this is why, but then it's also innovation. So now that's the downside, is all the aggressive upgrading people at a deficit. It's only a downside when you're at a deficit. And most people who are on the therapies in the medical holistic system are at a deficit, or they wouldn't be taking part in them, okay? So the upside is, excuse me, is innovation. Innovation is when you're taking on somebody else's innovation, their mucus semination, and it is upgrading you because you're feeding, you're coughing. So you see me coughing. If I was around someone who was weaker than me and they take on my stuff, I'd destroy them. But that's not my fault. That person has to be responsible for how they receive the information in their world, virtually or physically or biophysically. And so it's all, it is evolution, it is innovation to me. And I've been getting smarter and smarter throughout this whole pandemic, because I dealt with every single freaking virus that came through. I didn't use a therapeutic. I didn't take anything to suppress the coughing mechanism. I got the poop out. I figured out every way possible to assimilate. And I'm telling you, it is a spiritual thing, because when I first dealt with the first COVID, I felt the spirit in my room. I saw something. I felt a presence in my room when I was releasing and I was basically going through like my own little exorcist in the middle of the freaking night. Okay? And then the dreams. The dreams are all those little virus microbes from different people, as well as yourself, because you hold genetic memories from your predecessors. And then you will see the craziest things in your sleep. And I'm telling you, we are in such a trippy time right now. Be so freaking thankful that you are where you are today, because now you have a choice. 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years ago, people didn't have a choice. They just regurgitated and listened to somebody who was in authority and wasn't given the opportunity to contribute to now mankind. They were just like, hey, we're gonna edify you, and we're going to indoctrinate you into the college system, and you'll learn the way we want you to learn things based upon our expectations and our intentions, and then you follow it, and then there's a predictable outcome. Now you have a choice. Now the system is open. Before, the system was closed. You had to be vetted out through so many different peer reviews to even have any kind of contribution. And if your contribution was a little outside the lines, they would excommunicate you from that association, whether it's the AMA or any other association that has very strict parameters. So now you can say shit on Facebook. Yeah, you'll get backlash because people are stupid out there. They don't understand new information, but at least you put it out there. You brought it to the surface. You had people consider the possibility, and then now you have to go and substantiate. And that's what I did, is I put something out there that nobody in the medical system would ever say, like indefinite life, and I gave the benefits of the salt water. And now you know why they want you V'd, because they want you to do the shortcuts, but obviously it's not working. People are taking all of their therapies, coughing out, now yet another unique identifier. And you know where I got that from, unique identification? That word, that term? It's from the data and accountability. When I was doing stuff at a school, when it was processing information, processing demographics of an educational system, and I was using programs that you input data and it spits out reports. And people's unique identifiers are their phone numbers or social security numbers, but we didn't have that. But we had specific demographics or school numbers. And so there's specific, like your name is a unique identifier. But even then you have people with the same name, so then you have to go to the birth date. Then you have to go to their social security number or maybe even their phone number. And so that's what makes a person unique, is the unique identifier. What is so unique to them that nobody else has? Nobody has my social security number. Nobody else has my phone number. Nobody else has even my IP address. Okay? And so that's unique identifier. So every single time you take on information and you spit out then what you've converted, when you convert information, you spit out a unique identifier. That's the new viral baby out there in the community. And so that's why they say stay home, stay safe, wear a mask, get a V so you're not as communicable. But you know how that works. And I can imagine that even those that designed this whole situation put out those arguments against the V's, because they knew at some point they were going to put something really aggressive. I know I sound like a freaking crazy, whacked out, paranoid, whatever, but no, everything in society is planned. And so when you're doing long range planning and you don't want to see extinction, like what happened in Universe 25, which is an experiment done in the 1950s where they put 3,000 mice together and watched them destroy each other when given everything they could possibly want. All the food, all the water, all the shelter, all the creature comforts, sex as much as they want, and then they cannibalize each other. So now you're looking at our society and you're seeing people are trying to get formula. You're seeing people seeing the food shortages. You're seeing the gas prices going up. You're seeing food going up. Now you're seeing what it's like not to be in Universe 25 where you'd cannibalize yourself. And so the strongest are going to fucking survive. The weak are going to go take part in everything that's going to suppress everything. And they'll have fun doing it. And they'll spend more money and going out there and playing all the games that they played before the COVID. And they will destroy themselves. But that's what's going on right now, is the opposite of Universe 25. Now mommy and dad are saying, we're tired of giving you everything you could possibly want. We're tired of taking care of your ass and giving you all the fucking therapies and watching you deteriorate and watch you deal with the food allergies. Then we have to develop another agency to deal with your issues. And so now it's survival of the fittest. Now it is the Hunger Games. And now you're going to see people struggle to survive because they never were given my mom prepared me correctly. I guess she knew. I guess she fucking knew. It pissed me off. I wish she would have told me. But I'm not saying she knew. I think she knew in certain levels that you don't spoil a kid or the kid's going to turn out, spoiled and expecting and entitled and not really strategizing or innovative, because if you're given everything you want, then where would you strategize? Then you just consume and then die. And so that was not her forte. She was a bootstrap mentality type of lady. And so that's what I have to also give her some props on that. I just wish that she understood where I was coming from with this J juice. I mean, no, nothing was perfect in my childhood. It wasn't perfect, but nothing can be perfect when you're raising a kid, because there's so much going on, and you got to get that kid prepared to deal with this fucking society the way it is. It is dog eat dog, especially now, because he did those experiments many times, and it was John C. Calhoun. And he's an ethologist. And he was doing experiments every time, and the end result was always the same. The mice that were so entitled and so spoiled, they cannibalized each other. And so now you have a chance to freaking redirect, and you can change your biochemistry, change your way you do your finances, start living your life in an intentional way, not in a reactive way, and read my information, understand it. So antibody equals relative to the perspective of what the body is being taken over. So when you think about antibodies, I thought it meant like it was anti-life, but yeah, it's anti-something else trying to take over. So antibodies either regulate the T cells, allowing the programming club goers to upgrade it like a bouncer in a club at the door, and the line is long, or allow them to block the energy, like the door, the guy bouncer, making the people wait outside until someone leaves. Okay? So you have a main viral operating system that should predominantly be autonomous and have the strength to fight off those looking to take over, cannibalize you. But as you know, many are not strong enough, so they need biotech to fight their battles, and eventually biotech cannot eat for you, biotech cannot make you feel pain, and biotech cannot force you to take it easy and rest. So eventually you must fight this fucking battle on your own. And not even your friends, your family, your associations, your husband or wife can fight this battle. This is all on you, honey. And if you don't have the strength to fight this battle, I'm telling you, the things that are trapped inside of you, in this environment, with how diverse this environment, there's so many opportunistic viruses and dead people, and people releasing their mucus microbes, that they're going to find a way to go in and commandeer and incubate and then take over when all the conditions are right. And so that's the spiritual world that we live in today, the spiritual war and the spiritual world. Is that you're dealing with people that are alive around you trying to take over, and you're also dealing with the dead. As above, so below, all of that. Okay? And so now you have to, now more than ever, fight for your fucking life. You have to fight for your life in this environment. If you don't fight for your life, you're going to be cannibalized by your friends, your family, your husband, your wife, your child, especially children nowadays, because they need so much. They're at deficits. Look around you, how many children are at deficits. And so even the children else as well. So this is why you must understand autonomy and putting down your boundaries. Because there will be an opportunistic person. There will be an opportunistic person, virus, or whatever that will come and commandeer and then cause issues. And then cannibalize you. So anyways, I'm going to go, but I'm going to say something real quick. Okay. I'm going to go, but now you see what antibodies are. It's anti the bodies that are trying to take over. So you don't have a thing on the side of your freaking head trying to take over. So you don't have a big old conjoined twin. You don't have something inside just eating you out from the inside. That's where all the horror movies come from. That's where watch all the freaking movies. Especially the horror movies. Well, the ghost ones, the vampire ones, the ones about dystopian, watch all that. This is your life. What you're watching on TV in any aspect is the propaganda, but also what goes on the micro level. And Greek mythology, Greek history, all the different stories in the Bible, it's all based upon events and people's perceptions. And also the intention that you die, reproduce, and that's it. You give up your life to somebody, and then when you're not useful, you're thrown away. And that's a disposable society. And so now we're changing from a disposable society that has consumed so much and destroyed so much to a more sustainable green society. And recycle, reduce, reuse, that's the Georgia Guidestones. So be the one to stay alive. If that means you have to extricate yourself from your friends and your family and the people who are consuming you and causing you to be like not dealing with your demons, well, you'll figure it out. But you anyways, I don't want to say you. You'll figure it out. Okay, I'm going to go. My dog needs me, and yeah. All right, bye.